He said there was this huge bipedal dog-like creature he referred to as Dogman.
Dogman, the canine cryptid we've all come to know and fear. Alright, so this one was another good one I found on Anubis. And it's by the Golden Child on TikTok, of course. And it's called Anubis Underworld / Spiritual World. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
We'll be talking about the god Anubis. When you are asleep, you are in the realm of Anubis. When you pass away and take your last breath, that is also the realm of Anubis. Anubis will be your god of the spiritual world. Anubis will be your final judge in the afterlife. It is not a coincidence that God spelled backward as dog. Some may also call Anubis the angel of death, and life is the cousin to death. Anubis is immortal, and he teaches us how to shift realities. He also protects us as we walk through these different dimensions. In his mystery school, he teaches fear no evil, hear no evil, and that you must be conscious of the higher self and the lower self, which would then create balance. So Anubis deal with the inner self. This is the dark side of astrology. We all have different gifts, but we also have different curses as well. And this is what you call shadow boxing. This is the higher self fighting against the lower self, and the higher self is getting rid of the lower frequencies and addictions that the body craves. You must turn off the 2 eyes and activate the 3rd eye. Some of us will get lost in the wilderness, but all of us will find our way back home. It's like you will never know what true happiness is if you've never been sad before. We all must travel through the valley of death. And we must remember that our spirit and our soul is more important than our flesh. Everything came from darkness. A lot of us who are trying to keep up with the best fashion and the best cars are mentally damaged. A lot of us need physical items to feel happy, but true happiness lies within you. When you are truly happy, you're not looking to impress anyone. You will find happiness in the smallest things. Peace and Ashe. I hope y'all liked the lecture.
Oh, I thought that was really, really cool. I mean, despite your beliefs, I really like what he was pushing there spiritually, that all of us have light and dark in us. And I do believe Anubis has a lot to do with that, with you going through what I would call the dark night of the soul. That means, battling your inner dark self, or being more aware and acknowledge of it to where the light can overpower it, if you know what I'm saying, guys. Like I that's just what I think. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I keep messing with my freaking head. No, guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. This one right here is by Night God 333 Secrets Revealed. And this one actually is very, very interesting. It's some more historical facts about dog-headed men. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
In the 1980s, military personnel during the Cold War would begin citing these beings as well. Numerous reports would come back, and that's when the Lake Baikal incident took place. Apparently, lore like this surrounded all kinds of lakes in Russia. The stories of giants is far from where the mysteries would end surrounding these lakes, especially Lake Baikal. In 2009, a group of astronauts on the International Space Station snapped this picture. It was during the winter months for Lake Baikal, so it was frozen over. But it is believed a large circular craft exited the water, which is why the ice was all broken up. One of them was spotted at the southern border of the lake, while the other was located almost dead center. In 1958, there was a Tu-154 airplane crash, where it is said UFOs pursued a plane over Lake Baikal, then disappeared. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Medieval explorers Marco Polo and Giovanni del Carpine would mention cynocephaly, which means dog heads. Yes, you heard me right. There are accounts from Marco Polo and other medieval explorers talking about the tribe of dog-headed people that lived on Lake Baikal. Giovanni writes the armies of Oghedi Khan would encounter these dog-headed people, the people who lived of the north, Dalai Nor, or Northern Ocean, also known as Lake Baikal. Marco Polo.
Now, I just want you to look at this photo right quick of this dog man. He's got a cow on his head. So, like, and then this female dog man back here in the back has a goat or something on her head. Now, are these depicting that these dog men were this freaking huge? Or is it, like, just symbolism or something? What do y'all think? Sorry, okay, let's continue.
Writes vaguely of his accounts with the cynocephali people, namely during his explorations of island Agamemnon. He would describe it as a very large island, without a king or idolaters. These beings were no better than wild beasts. I assure you, he would explain, the tribe on Agamemnon have heads like dogs, and teeth and eyes likewise. In fact, in the face, they are all like big mastiff dogs. They have an abundance of spices, but they are a most cruel generation, and they would eat anybody they catch, if not of their own species. From there, Polo and his team proceeded north, where they would end up in Samogete, where they proceeded unto a country that was lying on the open sea. This is where they found certain monsters, who in all things represented the shape of men, saving their feet. Their feet were like the feet of an ox, and they indeed had men's heads, but dogs' faces. They would speak 2 words as if they were men, but the third they would bark like fierce dogs. These were some of many accounts of medieval explorers.
That was really interesting that, like, all that alien or UAP activity was happening around the same area of the quote-unquote dogmen that they spotted. What do you think of that? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, guys, this one is actually a little different. This one is by Dwayne Scott Cerny, and it says, JoJo the Dogface Boy. And I'm just wondering, okay, like, the reason I put this in there is to be like, okay, well, what if this is what Marco Polo and Columbus was seeing back in the day? You know what I'm saying? What if there was like a tribe of these people that had this certain disease of what he's going to say, right? We're going to discuss it. So let's just give it a watch.
Yes, there was a real JoJo the Dogface Boy. Born in Russia, his name was Fedor Jeftichu, and he is seen here at the age of 20 in a cabinet card photographed in Lincoln, Nebraska. The photo is hand-signed on the back, as you can see. His condition was what we now refer to as hypertrichinosis. He had quite the career with Barnum and remains relevant to this day, with many unlicensed products displaying his image. In fact, if you Google JoJo the Dogface Boy and Annette Funicello, she recorded a song about him. You can't make this stuff up.
This one is a story from the Supernatural Sleuth, and it's called Dogman Encounter from Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
You might not be alone if you go hiking on this Gatlinburg Trail. In the heart of the Smoky Mountains, you'll find Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And just outside of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, you will find the Ramsey Cascades hiking trail. This beautiful trail is an 8-mile loop to get to the waterfalls and back, and takes 5 to 7 hours and is considered very strenuous. This is a report of a man and his girlfriend who were hiking on this trail some time back, and something very paranormal and spooky shook him to the bones. According to this guy, him and his girlfriend set out on the Ramsey Trail, and it was pretty tough. He wasn't an experienced hiker, but he fought through it all. It took a few hours, but he and his girlfriend made it to the waterfalls. Once there, they had a quick lunch, snapped some pictures, took some selfies, then made their way back to the car. And not uncommon to run into other hikers on these trails. This is a very hot spot in the area. But after a while, he and his girlfriend said they hadn't seen anyone else in quite some time. And this became very eerie. At some point, this guy said that the hairs just began to stand up on his neck, and he could hear branches and leaves crunching in the woods behind them. He never could see anything, but he just knew that something was there. It didn't take long before his girlfriend said the same thing, and by this point they were getting relatively close to their car, but they just couldn't shake this feeling that something was around them, stalking them. Just as they were getting back to their car, he started to breathe a sigh of relief. He felt better, but just as they approached their car, he said there was a very loud crash behind them. And at this point, he turned around to look, and what he seen changed his life forever. He said there was this huge, bipedal, dog-like creature he referred to as Dogman, who stood at least 6 foot tall, probably taller. It had piercing red, glowing eyes, and it was just staring at him from a distance. Of course, this guy and his girlfriend, they hopped in their car and they shot out of there as quick as possible. I'm hearing a lot more stories of Dogman from the Gatlinburg, Cades Cove, Pigeon Forge area. You guys tell me in the comments if you've experienced this. Have a great day. God bless. You might not be alone.
That was a good story. What do you guys think of their story? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, Wolfpack, speaking of stories, this little story was left for me in the comments by Abba G. I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry if I slaughter your name. I do not mean to. It says, actually, my sister has been living in America for the past few years. She has never encountered such a demonic entity before, but a few months ago, she went to the Great Smoky Mountains and Appalachian Mountains in Tennessee with her friends, and at that time, she was clicking pictures in the deep wooded area, and she heard a growling sound from the woods and saw glowing red eyes behind a tree. She actually just ignored it. It says, but then when she was on her way back home to Georgia, she felt a humanoid wolf-like creature running and chasing her car. And then she woke up in the middle of the night and was sick the next day. She was so scared and sick. A few days later, she told us what she experienced there. And he said, me and my parents live here in India. Man, that would be so crazy. So she was actually on the Appalachian Trail in Tennessee when she experienced this. Now, I have heard that dogmen are demonic. Like, some of them are very well, mean demonic creatures. I believe that there's different kinds of them, just different entities, different supernatural beings or whatnot. And I do believe she encountered a demonic one. Now, don't come at me in the comments, because I know a lot of people are saying that they're only demonic. Well, that's fine. You can believe whatever you want to believe. But I'm just saying, I've actually had an experience with a non-demonic one. I want to give a shout out to all of the members of the channel. Guys, thank you so much for all that you do. And as always, guys, thank you so much for dropping by. I will see you in the next. Bye.